There you go.
Okay, my client comes in, I explained the language. We now have a working vocabulary. So when I talk about origin story, or I talk about pregnancy, or I talk about the Costco card, and I have a bunch of terms, you know, FOFO and psychological orgasm and all those, but those usually come out later in sessions. But in this first session, person, place, thing, situation, conception story, pregnancy, birth, 0 to 7. Okay, mother, father, child, triad. I give them that sort of overview that I gave you now extensively, and I do tell them that first session for me is 90 minutes. When I do shadow work with clients, or a mother, father, child, triad session, for the first session I say 90 minutes because I have to explain all this language. Of course, it's on my website, I have videos, I have a podcast, but most of them don't do that, and so I use that time to explain. Okay? So now you've given your language. In your theory, start creating a common language that you can explain to your clients that you're going to use. It doesn't matter if it's Freudian, it doesn't matter if it's Adlerian, it doesn't matter. Just start putting together your pieces so that you have it. You could take some of this, you can leave some of it. Doesn't matter. Look, I just read you some stuff from Groff. Okay? So, when a client comes, besides explaining all of that, I now get to the mother, father, child triad. I want you to understand this. This is super important. When we do marriage and family, I told you that I have a spin-off of this. It's called The Truth is in the Triangle, and it's for relationships. Every single human being is born into a triangulated relationship. Why does this matter? What does this mean? Why am I saying this? What does it matter that we are born into a triangle? Anyone ever hear a triangle before? What's the common thing of a triangle?
3 sides.
Okay. Now think second chakra.
We're talking about the birth, because it goes to the vagina.
No, you're right about that, and that's part of what that symbol is, but no, I'm talking about human relationships, sex. We're all in what kind of triangles?
Love triangle.
Love triangles! Okay? Why is there so much damn cheating? And why is there so much looking? And why is there so much ooh and eyeing? And why is there so much texting when you got your guy at the club right next to you? Every single human being is born into a triangle. You have a mother and a father. You have an egg and you have a sperm. This is my theory. I have to say that 100 times. What you do, whether you know these people, whether you don't know them, whether your father walked out, whether your mother died, psychologically, you are in a triangle. Every single one of us has picked one of these people to align with.
My daddy, who's not here.
Ideally, in a perfect world in which none of us live, your parents would have been equal. They were not. You can tell yourself they are, and I will just say, lie. And then you never have to come back to see me again. had the perfect childhood. Lie. You aligned with one parent. And it could be the parent that was the drug addict on the street that you never know. Do not kid yourself. This is called the pedestal parent. I cannot tell you why you picked the parent you picked. You might think that you picked a parent and you really picked another. I can tell you that your astrology chart will show you which your parent you picked. I thought my whole life it was my mother. And then I learned, na-na-na-na, it was my dad. This has nothing to do with one parent being better or worse than the other. I do not have an answer that is a loophole in the theory. I don't know why you picked the parent you pick, but I can tell you other stuff. Okay? But you pick one parent. My experience with my own life and my experience with clients has been that what you will do is pick one, at some point in life, pick the other, and then eventually, if you're lucky enough, you pick yourself. If you're lucky. But we tend to, and why do you think we align with the parent? What did I tell you for the past 2 hours is the importance of aligning with the parents? Think, people. Think.
Fulfill your needs.
To fulfill your needs. These people are going to supposedly fulfill your needs. They don't. It's bullshit. You need to fulfill their needs. And when you fulfill their needs, you feel narcissistic, in control, and important, and you found your purpose, which is all bullshit. But that's what's going on. So, usually, these are just theories. Usually you align with the parent that, not always, tends to have power, has a value system that you're more in alignment with. Power is a tricky thing. Power is a very tricky thing. Oftentimes the person, the parent that has more power is actually the powerless one. Oh, I'm sick. Oh, I'm the victim. Oh, your dad abuses me. And that parent has the power. So these are not set in stone. This is your job as the therapist to listen, and that's why I'm giving you all of these pieces so you can pick up the threads, okay? This tends to be reasons, some of the reasons why you align with a parent, okay? Oftentimes it has to do with the values. So, a while back, we saw Jen, whose mother put her auntie first, and her mother gets shot in the neck. And she learned a value of putting another person first. So, mother or father puts the other person first. Did you see that? She might have seen one of her parents see, oh, they always put the other person first, and I really like that. That resonates with me. This is all subconscious. We are now in the 0 to 7. Okay? This is now the 0 to 7. This is the only thing the client can tell you. So when a client comes, besides explaining all that, I don't get into this so much. I'm telling you this. People are triangulated. What else do we triangulate other than lovers?
Friendships, relationships, like all different types of friendships.
What else?
Even
Our life.
What?
Our life.
But what in our life?
like work.
Work is a biggie. What else do we triangulate with?
Family. Kids.
Kids? Family? What else? Don't take out all the second chakra fun now.
Sex.
Okay, sex. Yeah, we could do lovers or just sex. Partying. Money. Our car. These are your mistresses. So who knows what my podcast is called?
Queen of, wait.
Mistresses
Mistress of, wait, of the subconscious.
Mistress of the subconscious.
I know that.
Your mistress is anything that triangulates with you, that takes away energy from the other person in the relationship. This will go into relationships when we do Truth is in the Triangle. But the reality is that if I have my husband, my wife, and my kid, okay, and I am triangulating with my child is my mistress, and somebody is left out. And it is 100% inevitable in a relationship when there's a mother, a father, and a child that every single one of us can agree, even if you're born in a petri dish, that somebody is left out. And that's what creates the crack. That's what creates the problem in the child. Somebody is left out, and my job is to fix it. This is where you start getting false worth, your false self. Okay? So we are all triangulated. So what do? We create triangles in our life. We're supposed to be in class and we're at work. We're supposed to be taking care of our kid and we're watching porn on the computer. We're supposed to be dinner with the in-laws and we're in the bathroom jerking off. Whatever. We create triangles. And so we are a series of triangles where one thing, person, place, whatever, is always an outsider. It is so difficult to have relationships and be here now because we come from a triangle that somebody is inevitably left out. And so we create these things in our life that cause us problems. Okay, that's for you. Super important. Everybody has a mistress. Freud said that, and I'll always massacre these things because Maria teaches them to me and then I don't say them as smart as she does, but that we have like a limited libido. So wherever the energy is wrapped up in the libido is where we go. So for instance, a lot of men get a lover and they treat the wife like shit. Right? That's a common. A lot of men have their libido wrapped up in their drinking, or their new sports car, or their Ironman, or their CrossFit. That's the libido. There's only an amount. And so that's like this. So if your libido is wrapped up, here, something has to be left out. This is just the way it is. And it begins when the conception. At conception, we are limited. We cannot feel whole. We're already part of a problem. day? No. One of the common things you see is the cosmic egg. This is a very common theme in mythology, the cosmic egg. And then it's cracked, and the earth and heaven. Our origin story, the moment we are conceived, already has a crack. We already are broken, and we already become part of a triangle. And nothing 100% can be satisfied because you're spending your energy trying to meet your parents' needs, and your needs are never met. That is why, in order to be reborn, you must die, be born from your own womb, and then you give to the others. But that's not the way it's set up. And this takes a lot of woke. Okay? So, let's talk about the mother, father, child triad. So a client comes in, and I draw on the paper a triangle. Mother, father, child. Who wants to be a guinea pig?
Me.
Okay. So I want you to tell me, when you were little, the good about your mom and your dad, and the bad about your mom and your dad.
So, the good about both of them was that they were always concerned.
They were always concerned. Okay.
They always wanted the best for me.
What else?
They had a lot of, they always put me like on a pedestal. I was like the perfect child.
Okay. What was bad?
Because they saw me as a perfect child. Once my brother was born, they kind of stepped away. Like, I was no longer put first.
When your brother was born?
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 7.
Okay. So at 7, that's going to go really here. At 7 years old, brother born, and now he was put on the pedestal? Or
Yeah,
the attention was taken from you?
Yeah, because he had a condition.
Okay, so sick child got attention. Okay, what else was bad about mom and dad?
Oh my God. It's not coming to me,
Don't, you do not. The client has to say it in their
that's right,
words.
yeah.
It's their subconscious speaking.
No, that's right.
Good answer.
The fact that they were related, and about my mom, she, when she was little, which I found this out years later, she used to go from home to home because her parents separated. So her mother used to just leave her and her brothers, like, in whoever house.
Okay, so I just want to stop right there. I want you to pay attention to what the client said. There's several key things that she said. She put the notion of being a pedestal as good, which most people would, but that's important. She said she can't remember bad. That's a big clue right away. There could be guilt, there could be value, I'm not supposed to talk bad, there could be some, just delusion about what things were, and then what? She went to talk about her mom. My poor mom. She didn't say the word poor mom, but my mom, she was left, she went home to home. Because if I'm about to talk bad about my parents, I better make it up by talking something good about her or for her, rationalizing that there's a reason that she had to be bad. And she couldn't even really say the bad.
My dad, from what I remember, which my mom tried to escape from, was that I kind of remember that at one point she found out that he was being unfaithful to her, and she packed his shit, and then I don't know what happened after that. I guess they got back together.
Okay, and when a client tells you what the parent said about the other parent, it is valid. You write it down. Okay? You write it down. Now, she already made a comment about her brother. That goes in the child's script. So what we're creating here is a good bucket, a bad bucket, and a child script. For 5 minutes, that's all it takes. And you see the whole thing. So you already mentioned, and this is common where clients will say things.
He also likes to go out and play pool and drink.
Right, so I'm going to ask in a second. Hold on. So she mentioned the thing about her brother. I put it in the child script because that's where it goes, but then she can continue. So anything else about your parents, and then tell me about you from 0 to 7.
Okay, so now it's me. It's about me.
Anything else about your parents?
Well, the fact that he used to go out and play and drink and stuff, but it was with friends or family. So.
Okay, and then tell me about yourself from 0 to 7.
Okay, so, after my brother was born, I felt left out. I left the house
At what
at
age?
18.
Okay, let's try to stay from 0 to 7, 0 to 9.
I always got bad grades.
Even before he was born?
Yeah. Well, no, after. It was after. I got more, hit and blamed. Yeah, growing up.
Okay. Go back to day 1. You take out your little box that has all your threads. What thread do we see here?
Not wanting.
What?
She's not, she's
Who
not.
said money?
No, she's not wanted.
Oh, someone said money?
No.
That she's not wanting.
Who said gender? Okay, so gender is an obvious thing, okay? And it doesn't, it happens to be it's a boy, and that we have to do some exploration like we discovered with you. With me it was, but with you it wasn't. But there is a displacement. This is someone who is displaced. She is dethroned. So she is always going to have someone that is more important than her. If she gets a job, she could be the golden child at the job, then inevitably she will create someone. Let's say she calls her friend and goes, "Oh, Sally, I have a great job, come get your job." And Mr. Magoo boss says, "Oh yeah, Sally here." 2 days later, she shows up to work and Mr. Magoo says, "No, you're fired, Sally's so much better." She creates that story so she can honor her dethronement, her displacement. She can walk into a theater, everybody has a ticket, there's no seat for her. Displaced. It could or cannot be. We would ask more and more about the gender thing with men. That can absolutely be a thing. Okay? But there is a huge thing. This is where myth really helps. And I have a plan to spend 12 weeks, or as many as it takes, but there's 12, so I'd like to do all 12, but we could do maybe 2 a day, depending. I'm teaching you the basic myths that everybody has one of. This is a basic myth of Hephaestus. Child competing with another child. One is good, the other one's thrown to the bottom of the ocean. And that child spends their whole life trying to get back on the throne, back into the good graces of the parents. Typical myth. So, when I listen to a client and I see the myth, it's very easy for me to say, oh, she must have to fill in the blank, give something to mom, or, you know, there must have been someone else who raised her. She said she went to live on the streets. That theme has to be there. Because the basic myths, I'm only speaking Greek mythology, but you'll find them in any. I will teach you the Greek. Once you know it, you see it. And the person lives the story. There's no new story. Do you see how easy this is? Are you seeing that it's very easy? Okay? So that's first few minutes. I already have an idea that she mattered and then she didn't matter. So she's going to spend her whole life trying to get back on top. Okay? And it's funny because she's so short. So short. So there has to be something there where the height might have been stunted as a result of this. Maybe you were growing normally. I don't know. These are just theories that start popping up in my head. You know, is your family tall?
Hell no.
Oh, okay.
My mom's 4'11" and my dad was 5'7".
Okay.
But a lot of it came from my kidneys because I have kidney problems.
Okay. So there's a reason to stunt the growth. And kidney regulates what? Fear of the emotion, yes. But what's the function? The biological function of the kidney
Oh, filter.
is to filter the crap, filter the water, filter the liquid. So there has to be a mother issue. So if her mother stunted her growth because brother comes in, did they want a boy?
I don't really know anything
Okay,
about
so
it.
it may not have been a boy thing.
He was actually, the only thing I know was that it was by surprise that she got.
Okay,
She
were you
found it.
planned?
I think so. I don't know, because in that whole pregnancy or the whole thing, that's when still my mom and dad, you know, they were just figuring out that, you know, he's uncle, she's cousin, and their parents. My mom says that his parents were cool with it because he had epilepsy, so he has someone to have care for him. But her parents were completely against it, and my dad has 14 brothers and sisters, so they were all against it, and at the beginning, his parents were against it.
Okay, so we have a few themes here. We first have an incest theme, okay? So there has to be something psychologically, not that it's true, wrong with the children. There has to be. Part of her story needs to live out that, because we know that cousins that marry cousins have offspring that have problems. That is a collective unconscious belief. I don't know the stats. Obviously it comes from science. But that's something that we know. What was that?
The majority of them have.
Okay, so we know that there has to be something physically wrong.
Yeah, it's like a very low percent that they don't.
Okay, so that's
I
first.
think that was
Second,
like the unwanted child.
okay,
how
that's
I
next.
felt.
Second conception pregnancy issue is